Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Monday, June 5th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown, so if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. First off, a couple of clarifications. Number one, the price you see over here will be changing, and the candlestick you see right there will be moving around. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time, but I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, LVTX. Quite the roller coaster on this one, and now it's presenting some interesting opportunities depending on your strategy. So if you're some sort of breakout player, I would argue there is a very well-defined breakout area right up there at this $3.45 mark. Now granted, the price does need to curl back up and work its way quite a bit upwards, but if it can get up to that level and then break through it, then while nothing is guaranteed, is it plausible, is it valid to think that a break of that level could indeed create additional buying pressure? In my mind, that's a very valid thought. On the flip side of things though, and this strategy would probably be a little bit more relevant at this moment in time, is if you like to play pullbacks, because very clearly here, pretty deep pullback, both in the grand scheme of things, still an overall uptrend. And this pullback area that, at least in my opinion, is interesting is this former breakout area down here right around the $2.50 mark. So just, and then for a pattern perspective, and maybe some of you would disagree with this, but just to get the idea across, yes, there's no doubt about it. The price has been pulling back, but from the big picture point of view, you have to ask yourself, well, what was happening before this sideways channel or before this downwards channel? Well, you had this huge explosion up like that, which is now giving me the ability to draw a bull flag pattern. Now, because it's bullish doesn't mean that it's for sure going to go back upwards, but that's my point here is that I can understand where some people would still be bullish with the pullback here because technically speaking still has an opportunity to build a higher base, and that's what it's all about. Next one here, MMV, and same general idea, big mover today, and yes, a very big pullback is underway. So like I said, general idea is the same depending on your point of view in terms of breakout or pullback players. But as of right now, the pullback player is looking like more so a relevant kind of approach to this one because breakout quite a far away. Although I will say, as I observe it, I don't know, maybe you would disagree, maybe I would disagree as soon as I get this in place. That seems like a pretty steep trend line. So yeah, I'm gonna now. If you say no, Clay, you should keep it there. Go for it. I mean, that's a beautiful thing about trading is we got to all do what we think is best. But in my opinion, I think that level is a little too steep right there. So as far as breakout levels that I think more people would be watching, first key level going to be right up there at the $3 mark. And then as far as areas of support are concerned and pullbacks, the level that you got to think a lot of people probably watching going to be down there at that purple line right there, 50 period moving average, currently valued at $1.42. Now, of course, a big risk with that one is you may never make the trade because if it never drops all the way down there before reversing back up, then you're just, like I said, you're going to miss the entire trade. But if it does drop down there and get a bounce, well, then you'd be having a very nice entry point at that point. So that's where it's all about decisions and what you think makes the most sense. But like I said, same general idea, popular price range, huge volume, big pullback here. So if you think this is just a temporary pullback before another snap back to the upside, I definitely keep an eye on it. Next one here, UCAR, did this in yesterday's video and drew in the pattern here, got the breakout of it. And as has been the theme, same general idea, big movement. Now you have a bigger pullback. So just to save time, I'm going to start to quickly go through these dynamics here so you understand that if you're a breakout player, $13.50, very interesting level to watch if this thing does try to curl itself back around. And then in terms of levels of support, key level that stands out to me is right down there at $7.50. So I'm not going to say anymore. You've heard me say it. So a couple different strategies and how you want to play it, that is up to you. But yeah, if you like the price range down below $10 and you like the choice between a breakout or a pullback, keep an eye on it. And same flavor once again, ticker symbol UTRS. I would say the biggest difference here is that this one is a penny stock. So it's just some days you have a bunch of setups that look the exact same. And today's been the day of big explosions to start and then very deep pullbacks to end the day. But like I said, if these pullbacks are just temporary and they're just consolidations before explosions back upwards, then all the stocks we've looked at so far could be looking at some very, very potential big gains next week. So as far as this one, let's map out our breakout point. And that level sits up here at the 45-cent mark. And if you like to play more so the pullbacks, then like the other one, we have our moving averages, the 50 period being that purple line, as I've said. And then also you have the pink line there, which is the 200 period moving average, both valued right now. So that's interesting that they're basically on top of one another at 24 cents. So, if you like penny stocks and if you like to play these sorts of pullback scenarios, keep an eye on it. Next one here, AMC, and a little different than the other ones. More so just a channel pattern has formed, and this will mean a bit more to those of you that have watched past videos, but if you have, hopefully remember me talking about that area of resistance up there at 465, as I've talked several times about it being the area of resistance. And you can see once again this morning, opening 30 minutes, that level once again acted as resistance. So really nothing new there to report other than the fact that the top of this channel does indeed seem to be confirmed at $4.65. In terms of levels of support, again, nothing new here to report. All about that 450 mark down there, which you can see the price got somewhat close to today, but never even technically hit it. So all in all, AMC, if I were to, forced to, push it into just a very simplistic definition, I would just say a sideways channel pattern. Real quick, want to take a quick break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering next week. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then certainly get signed up for the free live class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box, or if you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then definitely get signed up for the free live training. Next one here, TSLA, our good friend Tesla, and overall continues to beast mode up, higher highs, higher lows. And we have ourselves a good, solid technical pattern here. So as I draw this, please realize I'm not trying to impress you. This is not some sort of secret discovery or great talent. A lot of people around the world are going to be watching the same exact pattern. And I say all that because when a lot of people are watching the same things and wondering the same things, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy. Call it whatever you want. It can produce some very dynamic movement. So like I said, going to be that top trend line right there as part of the pattern. And then you have this consolidation area right here at the $213 mark, and then maybe make it easier to see. Let's make the pattern same color. So we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the nice upwards move right there. For you golfers, let's put the golf hole down here to make it a little bit more visual for you. And this would be known as a bull pennant pattern. So again, there are no guarantees, but is it plausible? Is it valid to think that if Tesla curls back upwards, gets up to that trend line, and then pushes up through it, that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure? That is certainly not a guaranteed outcome, but a more than plausible outcome. Next one here, SOFI, has been just going absolute beast mode, but has now started to go sideways. And, I'm not going to say people freak out, but sometimes people get so used to something going up and up and up, which you can see here. I mean, this is a chart that's been going up a whole lot, that the minute it starts to go sideways, people, like I said, I don't want to say freak out, but what's wrong? What's going on? Is something wrong? And the only thing that's wrong is no stock can go straight up. No anything can go straight up. Consolidation is needed. So yes, right now, the price has been kind of pulling back on Thursday, and then today kind of just chopping around. So no, it didn't put in a new high today, and I know people are used to getting new highs on this one over the past couple of weeks, but just because a stock doesn't put in a new high every day does not mean that there's anything wrong. So moral of the story here, as long as you're not some sort of day trader that bought right there and your plan was to buy and sell within 10 minutes, as long as that's not you, then overall a chart is still perfectly fine, because as you can see here, even with the pullbacks, the stock has continued to put in higher lows. And if you envision those as stair-steps, as long as you have stair-steps progressing in the upwards direction, that's what it's all about. Next one, NIO, and along the lines of what I just talked about, is this a bad or good looking chart? Well, it depends on your perspective. Going back to the whole day trader situation, if you're a day trader and you bought right there at the top there and your plan was to buy and sell within 7.2 minutes, well, from that angle, things look really, really bad, because there's no doubt about it. A very big pullback has occurred after it hit that high right there. But taking a step back and combining things with the past couple of days, let's look at where the lows have been. So I'm going to get rid of that level right there so I can illustrate this better. And for example's sake, for argument's sake, and I'm not saying this will occur, let's just say the price actually drops down more and comes down to right around that 745 mark. Even if that were to occur, what would you still have? Well, you'd still have a support right there. You'd still have those lows right there. And if you envision each one of those as stair-steps, what do you still have over the past couple of days? You still do technically have progress being made in the upwards direction. And that's what it's all about. Again, I 100% realize if you're a day trader and you bought right there, you do not care about anything that I'm talking about right now. But that's why I'm trying to differentiate between somebody that's got more of a day trading mentality versus somebody that cares about the bigger picture point of view. So yes, no doubt about it. Today, very, very bad day. But stop and think about that word, today. As in one day. Looking at multiple days here as we're seeing, you can see the price does still have the opportunity to build a higher base. So let's see if NIO can get that job done next week. Next one here, PLTR, and nothing new to report for those of you that have watched past videos. This $15 mark red line should ring a bell, as I've talked about that now several days. And you can see once again today, spike up, and surprise, surprise, the power of charts. So I'll turn that into a quick plug. Get signed up for that free training. Our chart's perfect? No, but they're certainly a worthwhile tool. So yeah, get signed up and I'll see you next week. But so $15 more of the story, still that level of resistance. But what I want to add in here is now we have a good solid little trend line here that is formed, and we have a bigger picture pattern. So let me change that to green real quick to represent more so the bullish part of things, and then I squeeze this down. So, and I'll make it one color. So we've seen this pattern before, but more on a smaller scale. But now let's look at it at a bigger scale. So we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the big upwards move right here, we have our golf hole down here, and we have ourselves another bull pennant pattern. So once again, going back to that talking point of self-fulfilling prophecies, you got to think that a lot of people have noticed. Now, maybe not everybody's calling it a bull pennant. Maybe some people are calling it a wedge pattern, a triangle, different terminology, but they're all suggesting the same types of things, that there's a very well-defined breakout point and that the stock right now is consolidating nicely, which we've talked about. Every stock cannot go straight up every day. Sideways action is fine. And within the sideways action, have a nice bull pennant pattern. So let's see if the bulls can eventually get a break next week at some point. Next one, TQQQ, which is an ETF that measures the NASDAQ market. So if you believe that the NASDAQ market as a whole is going to rise, this one will also rise. Biggest difference is it just allows you access at a much lower price point, which makes it a very popular ETF. And in other words, a lot of people are watching it. And when a lot of people are watching it and you have a very, I'm going to call this a newbie trend line, because if you're like just learning about charts, I'm sure that like, oh, wow, yeah, I see that trend line. Like that is as basic as it gets. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. I'm just saying that we want those newbie trend lines. We want those trend lines that everybody and their brother's uncle sees and draws, because it brings about that dynamic of potential self-fulfilling prophecies, and it brings that much more potential strength to it. Once more, no guarantees, but there's a lot of credibility to think that if the price can get up to that trend line and push up through it, that break could lead to even more momentum for the NASDAQ next week. And then as far as supports are concerned, if there is some sort of pullback, you have that area right there, which stands out to me around 36.40. And then just, hey, why not? Let's do it one final time. We have our resistance. We have our support. We have the nice upwards move right here. We have our golf hole down here. So we have ourselves another bull pennant pattern. But all in all, very, very strong week for the NASDAQ. Very, very nice way to end the week with a bull pennant pattern. So it's just a question of, can the price get a breakout and get more continuation next week? Grab your popcorn and let's see what happens. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you like what you saw here, then I want you to get signed up for the free class next week. Like I said, it'll be Thursday, June 8th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, please do two things for me. Hit the like button and tell me what you traded today, or tell me what you're watching next week. But those two things help out the channel, help out the algorithm. And as long as I know people are enjoying, I will continue to get this content out to you. So I thank you in advance for doing that. So again, get signed up for that free training. Everybody have a great weekend.